Good morning, how you doing? Tim, thanks. Appreciate it. I've met some over the years. I've been involved in the space here in Canada for the last 28 years approximately, way back in the days where some of you had cell phones with pagers. Do you remember those pagers? Do you want your pagers back, by the way? Change, right? Change is good. Evolution is good. This is not such a big change. So let me do this. I'm going to keep it short. And I'm just going to give you an overview of what we're doing, how the program works, and then maybe some Q&A for a short while before I rush out to the next meeting. First and foremost, Zillow is simply a listing portal. It's a website. That's it. Nothing more exciting than that. It's a digital platform, and there is an advertising component. That's what Zillow is. Zillow's not a brokerage. We don't have real estate people, we don't sell, we don't transact, we don't do any of those things. All we do is promote listings. And really our North Star is the consumer. We provide an incredible consumer home shopping experience, which is why we are the largest platform, I could say the world, but really organized real estate is only North America. It is a pretty epic machine. It's pretty incredible. So listings are free on Zillow. You don't pay to have listings on Zillow. Realtors are always, the listing agent is always featured on the listing for free. There's no referral fee, there's no subscription fee, listings are free, listing agent, listing brokerage are promoted, and they're always at the forefront, and I'll show you how that looks. Before I get into a lot of it, I want to just show you how deep in the culture in America Zillow is right now.
Z, this way to find a home.
What is Zillow?
Correct.
This next screen grab was sent in by Kirsten Carlisle in Spokane, Washington. She was doing some house hunting on Zillow. I love Zillow.
The experts at Zillow found that homes with crisp white kitchens sold for about $1,400 less than expected.
Do you have a favorite app you like to use?
Trulia is my favorite app, the real estate one.
Just pour my peach pecan whiskey and just watch some houses.
Check out Trulia, man.
This is gorgeous.
We found this house on Zillow.
Real estate company Zillow today made its first ever corporate donation.
Zillow is now offering a 6-week sabbatical to give staffers time to recharge and reboot.
I've been looking at apartments on Street Easy. I think I'm going to give Queens a try. It's the hot place.
A new study shows that New Yorkers spend 60% of their income on rent.
Yeesh. Buy my house on Zillow, sell it back to me on Trulia.
Sometimes at work I look up places on Zillow.
Oh, and by the way, you will find something nice. I checked on Zillow last night.
So all of those brands are part of Zillow. Zillow purchased Trulia a couple years ago. Zillow is much more of a property site. People are searching. Trulia is much more of a neighborhood search experience. Hot Pads and Street Easy Naked Apartments are all multifamily condo, and they're very specific. Street Easy is kind of Manhattan area, Hot Pads in San Francisco, out east is the Hamptons. And what Zillow has found over the last dozen years or so is that you can't be everything to everybody with one platform, with one website. So this appeals to a lot of different things. And in fact, we built realestate.com last year. It was built by the millennials in our company for millennials. It's a very swipe type, if you're on an iPad or a phone type search experience. And that will probably be the second one we bring to Canada because it is multilingual. We have Mandarin, we have Quebecois French, and a few other languages coming onto the realestate.com site. So Zillow is headquarters for Canada out in BC. I am the lone Ontario person right now, but we've just hired somebody who will be announcing shortly to help us support at the broker level here. And we're growing continuously because with our network, what we do is we serve a wide range of consumers and professionals, including people who are also looking to rent, as well as people who are doing rent-outs. There's a lot of really neat components within the system. So with 187 million unique monthly users, and those are repeat monthly users, by the way, almost 500,000 Canadians actually have a registered profile on Zillow, people looking in the States, snowbirds, or just curious. It's pretty incredible. But what's really interesting is the amount of research that we get when you have that volume. And the way we drive that volume is we have incredible content on our site. So if you haven't seen the Zillow site yet, you really should go on and have a look. Go look at Orange County, California. Look right now down near the waterfront. Start around 10 million. These folks have enough clout with their tax dollars, I guess. They can actually force the airport to what time you can fly in and out. If you fly a certain direction, they actually have to literally drop down to land, like they can't go low over the houses. Look there on Zillow, beautiful properties. So the home shopping experience starts on the web or on mobile, and actually 2/3 of searches are done on mobile on our system. The system is really configured on the search engine optimization. Lots of you have seen a term or heard the term SEO, search engine optimization. It's really to make your listing on Google show up high or higher. With the type of content we drive, we actually have in most markets in the US, Zillow coming first, whether it's a Zillow listing or a real estate agent's Zillow profile showing up before anything else. So Zillow is actually, as I showed you in the video, it's really ingrained in the culture. In fact, the word Zillow is searched more than real estate. So it's actually pretty amazing how big this thing has got. So if we were looking for a listing or a property, it's a simple search, lots of photos, lots of tools. Within the actual details listing page, this is what it will look like in Canada for quite some time, where we have just the listing agent featured there. And then the rest of the content as you scroll down. Now it's interesting, conversation you had just a little before me about reviews and surveys. You know, you're not going to be able to hide from it much longer for those who have not used it yet. Okay, has anybody here ever taken an Uber? Silly question. How about used Amazon? Do you ever click the 5 stars or 4 stars when you get out of the car or finish a transaction? Have you ever done that? When you search on Amazon, do you actually, if you see multiple products that are the same, do you actually look at the reviews? I will say nothing else about this. But I will say on the real estate side, especially the younger audience that is coming in, if they are starting fresh, they will look on the site, and those who have 10 or less testimonials or 10 or less reviews don't get clicked very often. Okay, so you really, I think you used the expression in one of the slides, don't hide your head in the sand. It's time to embrace what is real, and reviews are a big part of it. We actually have the capabilities, we have an API, we provide a lot of data out, that we can provide those reviews out, potentially to your survey company, and certainly to be used on Realtor.ca or on your own website. Okay, consumers search by content, and part of that content is reviews. It's not necessarily about 5 stars. Right, I got an Uber the other day, the guy had 2,300 trips. He had a 4.6 rating. I would much rather that than a guy with 5 stars and 4 trips. I mean, it's hard to get to those numbers. And if you have a team, does anybody here kind of work as a team? So teams are treated really well in our system as well, because each individual the team does have their own profile, their own reviews, their own ranking, and then it does meet the team as well at the top. Same on the brokerage level for the office. So some really cool ways that we help you market yourself, because we do keep the agent at the forefront. Right, Zillow's revenue, 85% of our revenue comes from realtors. We keep the realtor at the forefront. We are not replacing realtors in any way, shape, or form. And just to show you some of the content we can provide, because there's a lot of great content. I mean, this should not be a real surprise, but listings with 25 or more high-res photos get more clicks, get more views, get more shares. You know, when a market's hot, some of the information is not as relevant. You know, how many of these houses had a virtual walkthrough, had a video, had a drone footage? That stuff, you know, obviously if the market's really hot, less relevant, but high-quality photos, 25 or more, are really important. Some of the other things we can do for you, this is again where Zillow is different than anything you've seen before. So we spent a lot of money on research and development. And one of the things we're really putting a lot of effort into is artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So we're not talking about, the AI in terms of, some robot talking to you or answering your texts. It's about looking at the consumer experience. So if you're dealing with Facebook, if you've got a Facebook ad and you're using the Zillow push to the Facebook ads, we actually will reorganize your photos. Some of you are going, oh my God, you can't touch my photos. We will reorganize your photos because we know the individual consumer at that moment as they're looking at your listings loves kitchens. So every other listing that comes up, kitchen will be first because we know that's what they're looking for. Right? So same thing if you're using Instagram, right? You're searching for something specific. We're able to help you with that. We also provide you, and again, these are some of the tools we provide you. We can provide you with a virtual walkthrough tool, so you can quickly and easily make your own walkthrough. If you've ever used Google Street View, where you click the arrow to move down the street or you rotate your view, that's what this is. So you can walk into the house, walk up the stairs, and you're doing the walkthrough. Look out the window, go in the backyard, come back in through the downstairs window, go back through the living room, and you can create that in a short time. It automatically uploads into the system, into your listing. That's really cool stuff that we can provide. And again, this stuff is all included when you start to put your listings on our system. We even have consumer tools. We can provide consumers with an augmented reality tool. Now this is going to be a weird question, just judging by the group. I'm sure most of you will not put up your hand, but has anybody ever used Pokemon Go? A couple of you, right? So the Pokemon Go experience is augmented reality. If you've never seen it, you're looking at your phone. Think about the camera. You're looking at the camera and you're looking at that side of the room, and it's just what you see. The augmented reality is other things appearing on the screen that aren't really there. Well, you can actually use augmented reality to place your furniture in a room and see what, maybe some new furniture would look like in your own house, or what your own furniture would look like in a new house you're considering purchasing. So this is, again, really great stuff that we include. So foremost, it's an advertising platform. When we first start, the only thing that will be on our system are listings with Listing Agent, like I showed you earlier on. Once we get going, you're going to start to see this advertising model where 3 other agents have the opportunity to advertise on all the listings. Those are buyer's agents. Interestingly, in some markets in Canada, it's actually been mandated. So in BC, as you know, no more dual agency. So you can't be just on your own. Having a listing agent at the top, it's hard to read, but it does show the listing agent, and then the premier agents are the advertising agents right below it. And the way it works, just like Google advertising or Facebook, where you bid, it's an open market, free open market system, you bid on an area. So we know right away when you're looking to advertise in a specific area, let's say Leaside, you can look at our system, you can see in the last 6 months, how many views are listings in Leaside getting? And from that, and knowing what the average home price is, so the average home price here, $762,000, based on the number of views, it's a 5x ROI, or return on investment, and the cost per lead, if you think of it that way, if you really want to break down what your investment is, about $140 a month if you wanted to advertise in that specific area. And just to break it down further, again, the tools that we have, you can say whatever your budget is. So if you wanted to spend $500 a month or $4,000 a month, you can decide on what's the value of that. You'll know what your return on investment is. You know what percentage of times you're going to show up in the advertising before you do anything. There's no contract to it. And again, we won't see this probably for a year here in Canada. And we're still working out what the module, what it would look like. In the US, we can use zip codes because they're very structured. Let's say it's 20 houses per zip code. In Canada, it doesn't really work like that. It's very difficult. So we're going to look at whether it's the trading areas or the names of the cities. We'll figure it out. And again, this is an entire neighborhood. You'll see some return areas are 40%, some are 3%. Some leads are worth $5, some are $100. It depends on the value of the properties, how many people are interested in advertising, and again, it's an open market bid system. Pretty simple. And again, that's optional. Listings are free, listing agents are free. You're getting advertising anyways. It's only if those who advertise on the bus bench or on the radio are looking for another advertising vehicle, this becomes a good opportunity. Think of it that way. We also provide you an app to manage your leads. and not just our leads, but leads that come in from other sources. You can have them all funnel into one place, and then you can actually work connections within the system rather than having multiple different tools or sticky notes all over your car as you manage calls and process. So very much a transparent system that gives you more control. It gives the consumers a really great wealth of information. Some of the information we actually provide consumers, as you might have seen or heard in the US, in some markets, not all markets, is sold price. Now we know that obviously what's going on here, we're certainly not going to be showing sold price unless TREB says, open the floodgates, everybody's allowed to do that, then we would do that. The way it's structured right now, we won't have sold prices on our system. We're not doing we're not a brokers, we're not doing a vow. But we do provide consumer content so they come back regularly to the system. And one of the other tools we provide is what we call a Zestimate. A Zestimate is our market estimate. What's the potential value of the property without seeing it? Although, if a consumer is really interested in selling their home and they want the Zestimate as their guideline, the comment from us is speak to a local market expert who can come into your house and provide you with a valuation that will be more accurately reflective of the neighborhood. So again, it's all about driving people to the point when you're talking to them, they're ready to have a transaction. Questions? Back.
If I'm not working with a realtor, can I post my open house on this platform? And if not, will you do that in the future?
So we won't be posting individual listings initially. And we actually won't post listings, but we do have FSBOs on in the US. Interestingly, one out of every 3 FSBOs will be on our site. But we do a very stringent check of the property, of the content, of the information before those listings come up. It's also less than 2% of our inventory on our system, and it's a great farm system for realtors who go after FSBOs, because they're all in this platform. But we won't be taking individual realtors' listings. It is going to be on a brokerage by brokerage basis. Great question. Anything else? Yes.
So I'm working product, not location. I deal with seniors, estates, stuff like that. I'm all over Toronto. How do I cover Toronto? They use 6,000 providers.
Okay, so Barry. You recognized you.
So is Canada Revenue.
Yeah, actually, I think you sold my parents one of their condos. So the reality is, you can choose to advertise anywhere you want. You might want to just specifically do 2 or 3 main areas, see how that works. But remember, listings are free. So if you've got a lot of product, if you've got a lot of listings, they're going to be up all over. So in terms of advertising, yes, some people do work across the city. Again, you'll pick and choose those markets that work best for you. Some of those markets could be $100 a month. It's reasonable. Some could be $5,000, like Forest Hill. So you pick and choose the areas that make the most sense. And it's difficult to give you a very specific answer until the system is set up in Canada, we know.
So I think what he meant was he deals with the states and senior type clientele. Does Zillow have, am I right? Not very?
It's a different type of properties, not just residential, you mean?
No, it's all residential, but I could be anywhere from the Mississauga border to the Pickering border. I don't know where I'm getting Mississauga.
It's a niche market he's in, like
it's more about demographic.
Yeah, so again,
it's like somebody in this room doing divorces and specializing. There's no demographic.
Now, are you talking about specifically where you would advertise, and how would you pick an area based on that?
Yeah, I'm Toronto, period.
Yeah, so I guess my first answer was the areas will be broken down. So maybe it's C1, for example. Maybe it's broken down like the TREB sub-districts. You pick and choose the ones you want to advertise in. If you want to advertise in all of them, because you're that expert in all of them, you can do that. I think the best thing at this point is we wait until we start to move forward with that, and then we'll have a better idea. We're actually having local consultations. Maybe we'll chat. We'll take that as a takeaway.
Locator failed because of demographic.
Yeah, so remember, because of privacy too, we don't break down consumer demographics. In the US, there's a big issue around fair housing, so we're really cognizant of that type of approach. Yeah.
Do the listings just populate automatically?
Yeah, so if the broker is partnering with us, we pull the data directly from Trev. Yes?
And two questions. Has our brokerage partnered with you? And the second question is, what do we need to do as agents individually to update our agent profile?
So, great question. So we're talking to Tim. Tim's, I think you had a quote right at the beginning about being disruptive. We're talking to Tim and a lot of other big brokers. We've signed up some in this city near you you'll start to hear about. Hopefully after this you'll have the conversation and you'll decide to move ahead. The second question, it's a really good one, and I probably should have actually had a slide and showed you. To get started with Zillow, because we're going to start to have listings on, likely end of October into November, prior to that, we'll come to you once you partner with us, and we'll get you to start either getting reviews from your previous reviews or going back to your past clients to get reviews to start to build some content in your profile. We'll open up the profiles online to help you build them, get great pictures, you can do video, there's some really great stuff you can do in your profiles, and we'll help you do all that. That's one of the kind of the first mover advantages. Get you in, get you set up before everybody else.
So in Toronto, a buyer can still call the listing agent, or on your website, if you're the listing agent, a buyer can't contact me.
Why?
Because you said that they're going to be contacting the buyer agents that are advertising. No.
No, I didn't say that. What I said was, there's an option. So there'll be the listing agent is always there, they're always on the top, they're always free. The advertising agents, which are buyer's agents, are below that. I'm a consumer. I'm going to pick and choose based on recent sales, history, picture, I know them already. I can pick whoever I want. And I can also pick you when you're not even on there. So it's completely open. Consumers can choose whoever they want. It would be great if they choose a listing agent. That's one of the reasons we want you, if you have listings, get your profile set up early. To your point at the back, get your profile set up, get your reviews on there, your recent sales. It makes a huge difference. One more question? Two more questions? Oh, great question. So right now there's only going to be one site, Zillow.com, and what it really does at the beginning especially is it exposes your listings to a much wider audience. Americans, we have a huge Asian audience. We advertise in WeChat and a lot of other Asian marketplace tools, and a little bit of Europe. And there is Canadians on our site, but initially this isn't really a big focus on Canada. It will obviously organically grow, and then we'll bring our advertising into the marketplace to drive this as a destination in Canada.
Are recent sales only listings, or is it on buyer end?
Now, recent sales are activity. Even something that fell through, you could put in if you want. If you had a great experience but it fell through, whatever reason, and you wanted to survey them, you can survey them. It's up to you.
When will we be able to review and start bidding on areas and stuff like that?
So we're I would say a year, 8 months to a year. And the great question, so just if you didn't hear the question, when can you start looking at doing the advertising on Zillow? It's a chicken and the egg story. We need listings to get eyeballs. Once we get eyeballs, we get more listings. Once that's in place, then we can start looking at the advertising. There is no point putting anybody on to advertise when there's no real traffic for Canadian listings yet. Like organically, we've seen activity. There's a Toronto, Ohio. Toronto, Ohio does not have a massive population, but last month they had 56,000 views. They had 113 houses for sale. They're not looking for there because we see they go on and drop off. We also see where the URL, like where they're coming from. So that's how we know that there is this opportunity in Canada. But once we have the traffic, then we'll start looking at it. 8 months to a year. How about one last question and then I'll leave it to you guys. Yeah.
In regards to your platform in the future, are you guys going to have like a system where if I see a house, say 25 Sussex Street, will the owner's contact information be available for your platform in the future?
No. But part of what Zillow is, and I said at the beginning, Zillow is a property site. In the US, we have the data, and we have on our system 110 million properties, essentially all homes in the US. So a consumer could look at 25 Sussex Drive. It's not for sale today. They can watch it. They can save it. If it ever does come on the market, they get a ping. They can contact the realtor, any realtor, go see it because now it's available. But we don't have the consumer for privacy laws, right? Same thing.
Are you guys going to categorize it as for sale by owner category and realtor brokerages on the site, or you can choose, and does for sale by owner have to pay fees behind?
For sale by owner doesn't pay a fee, but the advertising agents are actually on their listing. And so there's actually a way for realtors to benefit. There's a discussion with the for sale by owner about cooperating with an agent and so on. The other aspect of it again is to you can search by just agent, brokerage, and then use for sale by owner is a separate. Thank you for your time. I'll let you chat with Tim. And
one more question there. It's okay. One more question.
Yes.
In Canada or in Ontario, we have realtor.ca for the layman to search for houses. Is there a website like that aside from Zillow in the States?
Yeah, realtor.com. And about 25 other sites. Just like Canada, there's a lot of sites. Korea, the realtor.ca did well. They basically have the bulk of activity.
So why would they go to Zillow versus realtor.ca?
In the US, it's because it was a much better experience. So in Canada, we're giving consumer choice. They may find it a better experience. If you go on, and not to say anything negative, I live here. I've had to live on realtor.ca and the realtor.ca mobile app like many of you are your clients. It is not a great experience compared to many other tools we use. So it's a matter of consumer giving them a choice, letting them see what they like. Some will love it, some will stay with realtor.ca. It's not to replace it. It's to give consumers a great option.
Thank you. Oh, you have a question? Go ahead.
I noticed you had Trulia on here.
Yes.
Would that be something that would be coming to Canada and Ontario, or is that strictly the US?
We haven't made any decisions on Trulia yet. We may bring Trulia down. We'll see. But it is a really neat experience. Have you been on Trulia before?
No, but I've been watching it for years.
Yeah. It's a really cool site. We'll see what we do with it. It's a great question.
Is Trulia available here now?
No, sorry, I should have repeated your question. No, Trulia won't be necessarily following us, at least in the first year. We'll see what happens with it over time. Realestate.com will come, again, because it is multilingual and it's much more, it's new, it's millennial, it's a much fresher approach to it. Thank you for your time, guys. Have a great morning.